Everyone. I thought today, in the spirit of Mindfulness Monday, we'll keep it really, really simple. And I wanted to focus on today some things that mindfulness is not. I know when we practice this, getting into the state of mindfulness, sometimes it can be, it can be a little tricky. Like, what exactly am I supposed to do? So I thought today I'd focus on what we're not trying to do, and maybe that'll help make some of this a little clearer. So. We are not trying to avoid or escape anything. I know when I first started practicing mindfulness, it was usually in the context of feeling anxious, feeling sad, feeling somehow stressed out, and wanting to get to a different place. And so I was fixated on this idea that if I practice mindfulness, the current state would go away. And in my experience, that's usually futile. So really what we're trying to do here is actually lean into whatever's coming up and practice just being with it as it is. So we're not trying to avoid or escape anything. We're also not trying to ignore or suppress any emotions that are up. So again, especially if we're feeling anxious or even depressed, what we're not trying to do is get out of that state. Rather, we're trying to learn how to just be with it and notice the raw sensations of the anxiety in the body or the depression in the mind. We're also not trying to empty the mind of thoughts. This is another really common one, which is, I can't meditate. I don't know how to do this well. I'm constantly thinking and I just can't seem to get rid of the thoughts. And again, that's kind of futile. That's akin to saying, oh, I want my heart to stop beating for the next 5 minutes or my lungs to stop breathing. The mind is just going to keep thinking. It's going to keep remembering. It's going to keep spinning stories. And again, so we're not trying to empty our mind of anything. We're simply trying to be with whatever's there. And my favorite one is this idea of a way to become enlightened. I know for me, there was this sense of, I just keep doing this stuff. At some point, I'll get to some place where maybe you could label it, being enlightened. And obviously, in the spiritual traditions, you hear of the Buddha and people like Eckhart Tolle having these, amazing moments of enlightenment. And in my experience, that's not really how it works for most of us. So, a couple metaphors or images of what we are, the state that we are trying to lean into, is imagine that the mind and that we are the sky, and thoughts and emotions and sensations are just clouds passing through that sky. But we don't get confused by the clouds being us. They're simply happenings, cognitive, emotional, sensory experiences that we're noticing. And if we just hang out with them long enough, the sky is always changing. These clouds will dissipate and they will be replaced by others. And so just remembering we are the sky, not the clouds. And another way to think of this is the state of mindfulness is just being the stillness beneath the turbulent waves. So there could be a storm raging, there could be white caps, and the surface of the ocean might be really turbulent. Yet if you go just a few feet below the surface, you'll notice that it's much stiller. And the deeper you go, the stiller it gets. So again, remembering we're the ocean and not just the surface level activity. And one way of labeling this experience is bare attention. So today, let's practice bare attention in the sense of just being with things the way they are, the thoughts, the emotions, and so on, without trying to change them, without trying to judge them or label them as good or bad, but simply just being present for what is happening and noticing that stillness that is the consciousness that is bearing witness to all of the goings on in the body and the mind and so forth. So let's go ahead and try that for a few minutes. So close your eyes. And notice where your body is, sitting, lying down, however you find yourself. And just notice. You notice any aches and pains in the physical body, just notice them. Let them be. And if you notice lots of thoughts bouncing around your mind, same thing, just notice them and imagine them to be clouds that are passing through your field of consciousness and your awareness. No need to fixate on any one of them, but rather take a step back and watch them pass by. See if you can really notice the difference between the part of you that's observing and the part of you that's experiencing. They are different. Our body's five senses are constantly picking up information, so through the skin, the nose, the eyes, the ears. All of these inputs coming in from the outside, and our brain processes that information and turns it into stories and thoughts. And the brain is very quick to then label them as good or bad, pleasant, unpleasant. And see if you can simply bear witness to how the brain does that with every piece of information that comes in. It wants to turn it into a story. And we have a choice ultimately as to whether or not we engage in that story, which then inevitably stimulates more thoughts and more sensations. Or maybe we can just take a step back and simply notice that the story is unfolding. And it's simply being aware that this is happening all the time. And if this feels difficult, it feels frustrating in any way, then notice what the mind does with that. Immediately, there's a story, something along the lines of, oh, I can't do this, I'm no good at it. Simply notice that story unfolding, but don't buy into it. Don't grasp, don't hold on to it. Just watch it. Or you might notice some sensory experiences, like suddenly the nose starts feeling itchy, or feel the need to shift your body in the chair and rearrange your posture. And even that, just take a moment, just notice, see what happens if you do nothing. and just watch it. If at any point you notice yourself attaching to any of those stories or those impulses to want to shift your body or scratch your nose, it's okay. And see if you can just gently return back to this posture of being the stillness beneath the waves or the infinite sky. Not trying to escape or shift, or simply being with whatever is coming up, noticing. And to add some more inputs to this experience, go ahead and open your eyes and notice all the visual stimuli coming into the brain now through your eyes. See if you can stay connected with that stillness in the background. There's shapes, colors, all the stuff before our mind gets a hold of it and turns it into a story with meaning or judgments. In many ways, what we're practicing here is the ability to keep coming back to the state of bare attention. Because our mind will attach, it will glom onto memories and thoughts, and that's just what it does. That's okay. But we can also practice this noticing and paying attention to just the bare inputs. And go ahead and take a deep breath in. Long, slow exhale through the mouth. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another deep inhale through the nose, through the mouth. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then bring your attention back into the session. Yeah, the being able to know the difference between the content of our thoughts and our sensations and the part of us that's able to be aware that this is happening, it definitely is a superpower. And I think it's the foundation for any of the positivity or self-soothing or any of the the practices that we engage in here. And I think really worthwhile doing, if you can, try doing this several times a day, even just for a few minutes. I usually like to close my eyes because it helps me bring my attention inward and really notice what's going on. But if you can do it with your eyes open, go for it. So hope that was a helpful little break. Hope to see you tomorrow. I'll stick around for a few more if anyone wants to chat.